Hello! It is another Tuesday, which means, of course, it's time for another in real life video. This week, as I've been saying, I've been changing things around, like, within the realm of physicalities with the new computer that I've been gifted by a mysterious benefactor. It's been going good. Let me know how, like, the audio sounds, because I keep on tweaking it, and I'm never really quite satisfied with it. And if I tweak it too much, I start to lose track of what I've even been doing, and I listen back on it, and I can't tell what I've done. I lose my mind a little bit every time it happens. Regardless, that is neither here nor there. This week, we are doing another ranking. We have another request for ranking some silly stuff from a gentle viewer. As per usual, if you have a topic that you would like to submit for an IRL video, whether that be a not-so-serious question, maybe something with a lot of depth to it, or maybe something so flippant it's just a silly ranking video, which, man, I've really come to enjoy doing them. And surprisingly enough to me, a lot of people seem to like watching them, right? That's maybe the biggest shock, is that typically the ranking ones do pretty dang well for how stupid and silly they are. I don't know, it just kind of worked out that way, I guess. What can you do? I like doing them. They're real dumb. If we get enough of them, at a certain point, we may have to, I've talked about this before, if we get a whole bunch, we may have to dial up our output here and, I don't know, do another ranking video every so often as I can. But we'll see how it goes. I'm also lazy. Anyway, this week's ranking request comes in from a gentle viewer whose username should be somewhere in the bottom third of your screen right about now, right? And they ask, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, could you rank the Daedric artifacts in Skyrim with Spellbreaker at the top and the Ebony Blade at the bottom? This is actually a question that I've received, or a ranking request that I've received quite a few times. That I think that this is the very first instance where I received it. Like I said, there's been like several folks who requested this one specifically, so I was like, okay, we'll look for whoever sent it in first. But nonetheless, here we are getting ready to tackle it. I have, well, you know what? We'll talk more about our tier and ranking list after the break. We're going to do a little cut here as we go into picture-in-picture mode, as per usual, where we'll have a nice big tier maker, silly dumb list thing up ready to go, right? I'll see you after the cut. Be right back. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. As you can see, we have our little tier list as per usual. And also, as you can see, we have at the bottom here all of the various doohickeys and doodads, Daedric doodads, which we are going to be ranking. Now, we had to be a little careful about this. We are specifically doing Daedric artifacts, specifically the ones that are relevant or can activate within the core game, the, what do you call it? The achievement for collecting X amount, I think there's 2 of them, X amount of Daedric artifacts, right? They have to be artifacts that qualify for that. Which is why stuff here from, like, for instance, the Creation Club is missing, which included some Daedric artifacts, right? The stuff that you may find in Skyrim Anniversary Edition. I guess we could always do, like, a Anniversary Edition, like, Creation Club sort of list of this, but I thought, you know, that way it's the most, we're operating from the most common basis of knowledge for everybody. Everybody knows, like, what exactly we're dealing with here. We would do this at least first. Just as well, similarly, there are other artifacts that exist, you know, for instance, Wuthrod. Wuthrod is, I would consider, a sort of artifact, but it's not Daedric in origin. There are Aedric artifacts. There are also Daedric artifacts that exist in the game that don't qualify for the achievement. And, like the big one is the skeleton key. During the Thieves Guild arc, you are guaranteed to get it for a little bit of time. I think yeah, don't you eventually lose it, right? You give it up as part of the Thieves Guild arc. But yeah, Nocturnal heavily involved in the Thieves Guild and all that stuff, right? But unfortunately, it doesn't qualify for the list, right? Although it is technically a Daedric artifact, and does exist in very much that capacity in Oblivion, as we have seen recently in Oblivion Remastered, our playthrough that we're doing here. Anyway, with all those stipulations out of the way, like I said, we could always do a future video where we cover, like, Creation Club stuff and whatnot in that capacity. But starting here, and also apologies if I look off to the side or whatever, I've got my cheat sheet ready to go because I don't remember the exact specifics of all of these because I'm dumb. I'm just dumb. There's also or this isn't another stipulation, but I need to mention big special thanks. They're not like sponsored. They didn't know I did this. This isn't like some big expose or whatever. But as per usual, thank you to and bless up to the world's most fantastic Elder Scrolls wiki on the planet, that being uesp.net. The only one that you need and ought to use, uesp.net. They've been in operation for decades now. All of these images are sourced from there, and I even tried to have my own little custom text here at the bottom match their sort of aesthetic, if you will, right? And also, that's my cheat sheet. My cheat sheet is I have UESP up on my other monitor. Anyway, a Daedric artifact. We'll start with a Daedric artifact that needs no introduction, one that needs no cheat sheet, that being Azura's Star. In here, as well as you can see, I've sort of have the images for this one, or have the image. That way, it's half Azura's Star and half the Black Star. Because Azura's Daedra quest is one in which can play out in two different ways. I do want to say, as we're getting into this, these will be weighted. The degree in which we're sort of ranking these will be weighted, and it will, of course, it's my own subjective opinion, right? We're getting very personal here about all this, as per usual, with all the rankings. This will pertain to stuff not just about the artifact itself, but the quest in which you get it, as well as its usefulness and other things, like, does it look cool? Does it look cool? We did another ranking tier list where we sort of talked about all of the Daedric princes, not just as in Skyrim, but in the Elder Scrolls in totality, right? But these are specifically as they appear in Skyrim, as their quests appear in Skyrim, right? Being very specific about this. Anyway, Azura's Star. Probably the most useful of all Daedric artifacts, maybe ever. Certainly in Skyrim, but maybe ever. It just allows you to completely ignore the entirety of the soul gem gathering system, right? Or at the very least, a large part of it you can just straight up ignore. It is such a lifesaver for simplifying things. Even better if you don't have Azura's Star like favorited in your quick slots or whatever. It starts with the letter A. So whenever you go to use Azura's Star and power up one of your enchanted weapons, it's there toward the top. It starts with the letter A. Fantastic. You can't get better than that. Except you can, because Azura's quest is kind of neat. You go inside of a soul gem, right? You go in there. And for the first time in Skyrim, we have, at least as far as I know, maybe it existed in like Daggerfall or something, but for the first time ever, Azura's Star also comes with a more sinister counterpart, the Black Star, which is even more amazing than the soul gem used to be back in the day, right? It's been in Morrowind, it's been in Oblivion, it's a banger to use in both of those games. It does exist in Morrowind, right? Yeah, it does. It does. But yeah, because it's one of the few ways in which you can get like supersized XL souls, right? But needless to say, the Black Star is absolutely wild because it gives you easy access to black soul gems, right? Which are a little tough to come by. They're a little tough to get. Black soul gems, of course, for the uninitiated, let you capture the soul of a humanoid, right? If you go around, you fight bandits a whole bunch. Well, Azura Star ain't going to get you too far in there because there's not a lot of creatures typically. Maybe you fight like a bandit wolf or something like that. Or they got a skeever that broke in, right? You get a little lucky there and you get some juice for your enchanted weapon in that form or function. But otherwise, the Black Star, huge lifesaver. Also, you could potentially, if you go the goodly route and you don't opt for the Black Star, you get a follower that you could maybe have. Granted, I think she is kind of bad. I think she stinks, but it's kind of cool nonetheless, right? The quest is cool. The artifact is super useful. One of the most useful ones in the entire game. Anybody, whoever you are, whatever type of character you are building, you will benefit from Azura Star. Bless up to the Lady of Dawn and Dusk in her banger of a Daedric artifact. It's going all the way to the top at S rank, baby. All right, next up, Dawnbreaker. We're just gonna go in order here, right? Which I think is alphabetized. It's alphabetical order. Is it? Yeah, if you include the T and the, right? Which normally you wouldn't, right? You would start with R, but actually, does it still work out that way? No, it'd be before the S. Yeah, it'd be with the rings. Okay. Yeah, the rueful axe. Anyway, Dawnbreaker. Kind of, the weapon itself looks very cool. It's got a cool glowing effect, right? Super cool stuff. I love Meridia, but that's irrelevant. The quest to get Dawnbreaker is very neat. It's the one with all of the different light shooting around, right? It's sort of, it's almost like a Resident Evil sort of light puzzle, or something in like an Uncharted or Tomb Raider game, something along those lines, where you're redirecting beams of light. It's not quite up to snuff with that, but it is cool that it exists in this game, right? It's a very fun way to go about it. It has the unique effect on Dawnbreaker. Hang on, let me do a little cheating here. It has a unique effect when you strike or kill. Is it undead or just vampires? Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, any undead caught within the blast radius are set on fire and will flee. Which is kind of cool, but maybe kind of annoying, because also if you are a vampire, it can affect you, apparently. Right? I didn't know that. But otherwise, it's Meridia's Retribution is what it's called. A unique effect that does some fire damage. It's kind of cool. It's kind of neat. I would say it's an A ranker. You know, the effect isn't like mind-bogglingly good, right? But it's pretty good. The quest is pretty good. Another hand touches the beacon is iconic. I like it. A lot of people don't like it. I don't get it. I don't get you. We've talked about this before when I was ranking Meridia up very highly in our Daedric Prince tier ranking making video, right? I like it. It's good. A rank. You know, it's solid. It's solid. And you know what? At the very least, even if you decide not to use Dawnbreaker, damn if it don't look good up on a weapon plaque, huh? Damn, that shit looks good as hell hanging up in your house, huh? It all glowing and shit. Tell me I'm wrong. It looks good. All right, speaking of weapons that look good, how about one that doesn't look so good? That's right, the Ebony Blade. Man, I remember this one being a bit of a disappointment, which I think is why the question requester asker 5000 wrote in that it should be ranked at the bottom. I don't know if I'll go that far. I don't know if I can go that far with you, but let's get a refresher because I do remember not liking it. It's a two-hander. and it absorbs health, which is okay. But in a world where you can just pop open your inventory and restore your health with potions, how good is absorb health? I mean, it's all right. 10 to 30 points. The cool fact about the weapon is not just its sort of like Daikatana look, right? Which, of course, you know, is a weapon type from Morrowind, a two-handed sword. Doesn't really exist in Skyrim otherwise. But the cool thing about it is that the first 10 innocent people which you butcher with the weapon upon getting it, it powers it up a bit. The only unfortunate thing is that the powering up is pretty mediocre. It's pretty mid. The quest itself to obtain it is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's either a quest, it's either going to be one of the first Daedra quests you ever do in the entire game, and it's going to be sort of, especially if you're new to Elder Scrolls and Skyrim is your first, it will be a cool introduction to the very concept of Daedric weapons and Daedric quests. As well, if you don't do it early on and you miss it and then you come back for it later, it starts to make a whole lot of sense as to what's going on with Jarl Balgruuf's kids, right? It's pretty neat. That said, the assets involved, it's not like a feast for the eyes exactly, right? We're not talking about like, oh shoot, we're going inside of a soul gem or whatever it was for Azura Star, where you get like a whole brand new unique type of environment, you know? It ain't like that. I would say it's incredibly mediocre. I think we hit the nail on the head calling it mediocre. I think it's just mid. It's a B. We're popping it right there, right in the middle. It's mediocre. It's okay. Right? I could maybe even be convinced to pop it down there into C. Anyway, up next, another ebony item from a different Daedric prince, the ebony mail, which loses its "the" here in Skyrim land, I believe. This one is, well, it's ebony mail, and it has, I think it has a bit of a unique look about it. I think the cool thing about it is it's like sort of point blank AoE, which can actually be a bit of a drawback. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hang on, let me double check that this is what I'm thinking about. Let's see here. Ebony mail. Yep, this is Boethia's. Okay. Oh, it also lets you move more quietly. Okay, opponents that get too close take 5 points poison damage per second, which ain't a lot. And apparently it also procs when you're sneaking, which can be actually a huge problem if you're, right? Because chances are if you are sneaking, you maybe don't want that to proc. You maybe don't want to do that. Maybe you want to try like pickpocketing or something like that, or just sneaking by people with them being unaware, you know, or you want to get off a different type of sneak attack. In that sense, it's maybe a little counterintuitive, you know, like you see the ebony mail and you're like, well, there's some interesting stuff here for stealth, but the majority of stealth-based characters, I feel, are going to be using light armor, and although this is one of the lightest types of heavy armor, I don't know, I still arrive at the question of, like, who is this for? You know, it tries to skirt, like, a middle ground and ends up pleasing nobody, I think. That said, the quest to get it is really cool, right? That said, we're talking some human sacrifice, right? Out by Windhelm, right? South of Windhelm, is it? Or is it? It's like southwest of Windhelm, southeast of Whiterun, right? Up in the mountains and all of that. I think it's closer to Whiterun. But up there, you engage in a little bit of human sacrifice, right, for Boethia. You get someone stuck up there, you chain them up to that obelisk or whatever, there's the big portal or whatever. You are faced with the task of sacrificing one of your own followers. Very cool, very dope. And I think that does a lot to elevate it, right? Although I think the item itself is kind of crap, if we were just going by the item, it's probably C tier. But I think the quest is so cool. The quest on its own, I would say, is A. Thus, I'll mesh the two together and put it at B. You know what? I think that's a B rank entry if I've ever seen one. All right. Speaking of human sacrifice, up next we have the Mace of Molag Bal. One which, man, what a memorable quest. What a banger of a quest. Really, maybe one of the coolest ones in the entire game. Really cool. If you don't know about this, which, true enough, back in the day, oh my god, when Skyrim just launched and we were all playing it, oh my gosh, November 11th, 2011, holy crap, just going into Markarth and stumbling into that house, dude, the quest involving the Mace of Molag Bal is so cool and is so unexpected if you haven't been like looking stuff up and you're not quite privy to like the era of getting stuff spoiled for you on this cool game on YouTube, right? People being like, here's 10 Daedric quests you need to do. Here's me ranking every single Daedric artifact, right? You're not having to be privy to all of that. Man, what a treat. What a surprise to enter that house, have everything shake. What a spooky time. And then you get to torture and kill an old man? Oh my gosh, it's so messed up. It's so cool. It's horrible. I love it. How good is the Mace of Molag Bal itself? I remember it being like pretty solid as well. Folks, I think we got another S tier here on our hands. Let me just double check and make sure that the Mace of Molag Bal is as good as I remember it being. Oh yeah, damage stamina and damage magic at 25 points. And crucially, soul trap for 3 seconds. A great boon if you are a more early game character. A fantastic boon for you to have a soul trap effect on your weapon just like that. Especially if you're not really keeping up with enchanting. It is a saving grace for many a people. Man, it's got to be S rank. It's got to be S rank. It's so fantastic. Not quite the weapon, not quite as useful as Azura's Star, right? I would say the two are flip-flopped in that way. Azura's Star significantly more useful than the Mace of Molag Bal. Which isn't to say that's not that's useless, you know, that the mace is useless. Far from it. And in a similar way, conversely, the quest, Molag Bal's quest, to get it, significantly cooler than the quest to get Azura's Star. But that isn't to say that the quest to get Azura's Star is exactly, you know, kind of boring. It kind of sucks. Far from it. It's pretty cool. But, you know, in that sense, I think they both deserve to share the S rank right there. And speaking of things that deserve to share the S rank, how about we talk about the Mask of Clavicus Vial and how it definitely ain't S rank. Man, what a terrible artifact. At least here in Skyrim, it looks cool. Right? At least it looks real cool on a mannequin. Good lord, isn't it so bad? It just like increases the amount of money you get. Oh, big whoop, you're going to give me more money in an open world, endless role-playing game where I'm eventually going to have as much money as anyone will have ever had, right? Get more money than Akatosh. Let's see, let me double check and make sure I'm not misremembering. It's actually like the Mask of Clavicus Vial is dope as hell. Let's see. Yeah, prices are 20% better. Fortify Barter, 20 points. Fortify Persuasion, 10 points. Regen Magicka, 5% faster. It's ass, man. It is ass. The redeeming quality is that it looks so much better than Oblivion's version of it. Oblivion's version of the Mask of Clavicus Vial is comically hideous. In fact, I could even see someone making a point that it's so comically hideous, it actually, the dragon eats its tail and it looks cool again, right? I think you can make that point. Similarly, if Dawnbreaker looks cool hanging up on a weapon plaque, Mask of Clavicus Vile looks cool on a mannequin, you know? Very good stuff. The quest itself. Another one with multiple outcomes. Very fun in that regard. Ultimately, your choice is you get either the Mask of Clavicus Vile or you get the Rueful Axe. You find and encounter Barbas, the talking dog, which a lot of people are annoyed by Barbas, but I absolutely love Barbas. I think he's such a little freak. I love it. And your choice is, well, do you reunite dog with master or do you kill that dog? Right? In which case you get the axe, the Rueful Axe here. I do enjoy the quest. I do enjoy it. That said, it's not amazing, right? There's no like unique assets really involved, if I remember, aside from like the statue itself, which I don't think ought to count. You know, if we count the statue itself, what are we going to say? Yeah, the artifact is unique. Yeah, it's an artifact. Come on. I think the Mask of Clavicus Vile is C rank, right? Elevated only because I like Barbas, right? Otherwise, it's in danger of hitting D rank, you know? And the fact that it looks all right. It looks kind of cool. You know, I do like the look of it. Okay. Yeah. C rank feels right to me. Okay. Well, following his exploits in Cyrodiil, a couple hundred years later, we have Mehrunes Dagon's Lord Dagon himself with his Daedric artifact, which, ironically enough, without a certain official DLC plugin, was not present in Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. But hey, if you're playing Oblivion Remastered, all that stuff comes baked in. But Mehrunes' Razor. Really iconic weapon. Man. Maybe the most iconic looking dagger in all of Skyrim. Maybe in all of Elder Scrolls, right? Maybe. As much as it pains me to say it ain't Keening. It's probably Mehrunes' Razor. It's gotta be, you know? And it maintains a really wild kind of effect where it has what, like, is it 2% or 1% chance per swing to instantly kill anything? Pretty dope. Pretty dope. Just as well, the quest to get it is fantastic. The dungeon you go into, kind of, it's just another, like, barrow, right? It's just another barrow. There's some booby traps at the end as you get all the pieces. Weirdly enough, they're all, right, it's fractured into a bunch of pieces, but thankfully all the pieces are together in one spot and kind of magnetized toward one another, right? You don't have to run across all of Skyrim collecting each individual shard of Mehrunes' Razor, assembling it as if you are some sort of protagonist in a JRPG. You don't have to do that. It's all there right there for you. But what is cool is the Mythic Dawn Museum ran by that freak up in Dawnstar, is it? That is so cool, and what a treat for the folks who had played Oblivion. Then, mind you, this is back when, you know, Elder Scrolls games were coming out at a decent pace, right? Shoot, Skyrim and Oblivion came out in the same console generation, if you can believe it. And what a treat. Like I said, what a treat to have that Mythic Dawn freak. One of the scant few parts of the game that sort of bear any major reference to the events of Oblivion and pay it some sort of homage. And it's cool. It's real dope. I like it a lot. I would say Mehrunes' Razor, I think it's an A rank. I think it's A rank. Would have been doper if there were more unique assets in, like, the dungeoneering itself was a bit more unique and all of that. The Mythic Dawn stuff elevates it a ton. The Mythic Dawn, like, freak, who's, like, the guy who, he's not even with the Mythic Dawn, he's just, like, he's such a dweeb, he's like, worshipping their old ways, like, yeah, the Mythic Dawn are the real dope dudes of all time, and then Lord Dagon shows up and is like, you suck a butt. And as you kill him. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Cool shit, cool shit. Unfortunately, the effect on Mehrunes' razor is impractical. Right? Let's be real. Ain't nobody out here using it meaningfully, I think. Are there people who use it and like, yeah, I'm playing a gambling build where, you know, I'm just swinging this stupid dagger around, seeing if I can get a lucky kill. It's so cool when it happens, but practically speaking, I want to use like a custom enchanted weapon or something else like that, right? It's neat. But yeah, A rank, I think, is where it belongs. Next up, Ogma Infinium. Hermaeus Mora's associated Daedric artifact, as has been for quite some time. In Skyrim, it gives you, what, a 5 or 10 point skill bonus in either combat, stealth, or magic skills, I think. Let me double check here. Let's see. What does it do? Yeah, by 5 levels only. Oh man, it's even worse. It's the lesser of the two. On the bright side, man, the quest to get it is kind of cool. You find that dude inside the iceberg with the big old Dwemer cube. That's kind of neat. Unfortunately, the other part of the quest is where you have to go collect blood, which sucks ass, right? Which sucks ass. It's a cool thing that you just kind of do in the background, right? Yeah, the cool part of Hermaeus Mora's quest is when Herma pops up and talks to you a bit, you know, which they did redo a little bit of it for the introduction of Herma in the Dragonborn DLC. And Herma, one of my unabashedly favorite Daedric princes, elevated so much by that DLC. But the quest kind of sucks. The reward kind of sucks. Here's my catch with the reward, the book itself. 5 points? Are you kidding me? 5-point increase in all this stuff, and it doesn't even let you overcap, right? You can't get like 105 enchant or whatever, right? You can't do that. Dude, it sucks. It sucks so much that I want to bet more people who are aware of how much it sucks, you know, especially if this ain't your first time playing the game. I bet more people just hold on to it just to look at it, right? You set it up in your house somewhere rather than actually use it for its main intent, right? It's so ass for being an artifact tied to such a dope Daedric prince. It's so ass, man. The quest is kind of cool, but all of the cool parts of it are contained within that iceberg, right? It's kind of like you think you're in for a treat, and then it's like, yeah, guess again. Actually, this sucks. actually, this sucks a butt. You're like, man, what could be inside of there? What could be in that place, huh? What could be in there? Nothing you want to see. Nothing cool, right? It's not like a portal to another fucking world. I think the Ogma Infinium, as it appears in Skyrim, contrary to how Hermaeus Mora appears in Skyrim, especially with the Dragonborn DLC, I think it's bottom of the barrel. I think it sucks so much. I think it's horrible. All right, up next is the Ring of Hircine, right? Or Hircine? Hircine. But we've got the ring. Let me see what this does. Doesn't it let you turn into a werewolf? Let's see here. Oh no. If you are a werewolf, it sometimes turns you into one without your consent. Oh shit. Now, this kind of sucks. I think it kind of is garbage. In fact, yeah, the Ring of Hircine is actually given to the player as like, this sucks. It's a curse for you to have this on, especially if you're a werewolf, because you just uncontrollably start wolfing out. really ass, I would say. And it's a ring, right? It's a ring, so you don't even get the benefit of like, I'm going to put it on display and enjoy it as I go by in my player house. I mean, you could do that, but what you can't really appreciate a ring. That shit's tiny, right? Rings are, let's just get it out right here. Rings suck. Maybe as like a cool effect, that's dope. But every Daedric prince who gives you a ring, that ring better do some amazingly wild stuff. Or you give me something else as well, right? Which thankfully Savior's Hide is also here on the docket, right? Thankfully. But man, if we're just looking at the ring itself, I think it's a C rank. I think it's C rank. Because I would be tempted to put it there in D. But Hersine's quest is kind of cool. Hersine's quest is kind of cool. You go into that, like, that cave that's actually got, like, outdoor shit. You find all the werewolves. That guy turns into one inside of Falkreath's prison, I think. And he escapes with the unique animation and all of that. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I think that's a C rank. Yeah, C rank. Okay, speaking of rings, the Ring of Namira, which is a ring, ultimately, and that kind of sucks a butt. But man, what a cool ring. What a cool ring. It lets you eat people. And if you play your cards right, you get access to one of my favorite followers in all of Skyrim land. That's right, Aola, who is also a freaky cannibal in and of her own right. The quest itself, I remember being kind of mediocre. Hang on, let me double check. Let's see. Right, you get the people feasting. Yeah. Okay. And you lure the priest over there for folks to feast upon. That's neat. But clearing Reachcliff Cave of Undead, I could have done without that. That ain't that cool, right? That ain't that cool. I think the other parts of it, really dope. Cannibalism, really dope. Aola, really dope. Being able to just do cannibalism thanks to the ring, pretty dope. Being witness to like a secret society of cannibals living in the area, pretty cool, and they get new dialogue with you when you have found out their like secret cabal. That's pretty cool. I think we're looking at an A rank. Could have been an S if like the quest itself were as cool as like the beginning and ends of it, but like the actual meat and potatoes of it, going through the middle part of it, sucks a butt. I think it's A rank. Could have been an S rank, which is wild for a ring. You know, could have been S rank if only the quest, like going to clear undead. Dude, I do that all the time. Clear a cave of undead? 50% of the time I'm playing Skyrim, I'm clearing a cave of undead. What are you talking about? Come on. All right. A rank, though. A rank. Okay. The Sanguine Rose. Speaking of memorable quests, holy smokes. A real good one. Now, this is the one where you inadvertently get married to a hag raven and you have a sort of wild party night and you sort of retrace your steps across Skyrim and people say like, yeah, you were really on one here, and you get to go through all this stuff and you wake up, right? You drink with Sanguine himself as his like secret shapeshifted form or whatever, right? His facsimile of a normal mortal, and you get blasted drunk and you do all sorts of wild shit. The only unfortunate thing I think about the quest, there's a lot of cool stuff with it, right? I think it's fantastic from beginning to end. The only unfortunate thing is you should have been allowed to continue to like be married to the hag raven, right? You should have been able to formally take on the hag raven as your like spouse, in a more officious manner, or at the very least, have her be a follower. You know, if not like formally be your spouse, sure, maybe like, yeah, okay, you can have a normal spouse throughout the rest of the game. But you do have this cool Hagraven follower who thinks that you two are married. And you kind of technically are, right? That would be cool as hell. That would be so much cooler than just like, yeah, kill her, right? That's so much cooler. The staff itself looks neat. But what does it even do? I don't even remember. Let's see. It summons a Dramora for 60 seconds? Is that what it does in Oblivion 2? Or is it the one that makes an evil clone? No, the evil clone one is like Vermina's, right? The nightmare clone or whatever. What I'm thinking of. Yeah. The effect is pretty bad. The effect is pretty bad. It's so close to being S rank, but dog, it's an A. It's an A, which is good. It's good. A ranks are good, you know? In what world is an A bad? It's not. It's not. It's good. But if only the effect on the Sanguine Rose were better. Like, conjure a Dramora? Man, I can look at the conjuration effects and all that. Like, give me something I can't normally do. Like eating people, right? I can't normally eat people. There's no spell that lets me do that. Except for this one ring. Yeah. What a shame about the effect on it. Okay. Speaking of a shame, being ashamed of effects, how about Savior's Hide, the accompanying accoutrement with the Ring of Hersine? I think you're always guaranteed to get Savior's Hide, but there's a chance you can get the Ring of Hersine as well, depending on how the quest plays out for you. Savior's Hide, when it first, well, I don't know if it first appeared in Morrowind, for me at least, speaking for myself, its incarnation in Morrowind is amazing, and especially where you find it, it goes beautifully hand in hand with stuff like the Boots of Blinding Speed. It's a classic combo, but it was just too powerful, and they nerfed the hell out of it in Skyrim. What is the magic resist on it? It still does have magic resist, but man, it is nothing compared to what it used to be. Granted, magic resist is now a lot stronger in Skyrim, relative to Morrowind at least. Oh, 15% and 50 points resist poison. And it looks kind of bad. I don't like the look of it. I never did. I always thought it looked like ass. Bro, I always thought it looked kind of shit. Huh. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, Hersine's got some pretty cool Daedric artifacts. There's like the spear, the Huntsman's spear or whatever it's called that you get at the end of Blood Moon. That you can get at the end of Blood Moon depending on which boss fight you get or you elect to have. I think it's only marginally better than the Ring of Hersine, right? The 15 magic resist, although a mere pittance compared to like the 50 or 60% present in Morrowind, it's something, right? It's something. And given its location in Falkreath, it's a decent like early game item, you know? It's not terrible, right? But you could so easily do better. You know, it's mediocre. It's a B rank one. All right. The Skull of Corruption. Maybe this is what I'm thinking of when I was talking about create an evil clone. That said, I don't think it does that this time around. This is Vermina's, is it not? Let me double check here. At Dawnstar, yep, Vermina. Yeah, and you get the other follower. Depending on how the quest plays out, you either get the staff, which looks really wild. It looks great if you're an evil character, which I think if you go that route, you're an evil character, all right? If you go the route of getting the Skull of Corruption, yeah, you're evil. Alternatively, you get, like, I think one of the best followers in the entire game, if we're going by statistics. His personality, don't care for him. Don't care for him. a bit of a dweeb. But statistically speaking, one of the better followers in the core game. Right, he scales up very, very well, if not infinitely. I forget which one it is. Either has like an ultimate level cap of like 50 or 60, or he's like one of the few in the core game that can scale indefinitely with the last Dragonborn's own character level, which is very nice. But aside from that, the quest itself is kind of cool. It's all continued within the tower. There's no amazing like unique artifact or whatever. It's cool that the entire town is like in this dream situation, right? They're all getting hen and tiered in a sense, right? They're all tripping out at night. Is it just a lesser version, a less cool version of what's going on in the Dragonborn DLC? Let's be real about it. Is what's going on in Dawnstar with Vermina just not quite as cool as what Hermamora's doing in Solstheim around the same time? Dude, the Skull of Corruption, what's the effect on it? Oh yeah, it's the one that it does damage that's like agnostic to the elemental damage effects, thus you can't really like prime it up in any way. And you have to recharge it by hitting like people who are sleeping, right? Yeah, Dream Steal. You have to charge it up, and you still have to juice it up the normal way with soul gems. I feel like for such a cost, it needs to fucking delete people or make them freak the fuck out. It needs a more extreme effect if that's the like cost opportunity or whatever you call it. If that's what it takes to operate the Skull of Corruption, it needs to do a lot more, right? I think similar to the Ebony Blade, this is like the definition of mediocrity. Right? It's okay, I guess. It's okay, right? It's all right. The quest is all right. You know, it's kind of memorable. The other option that you get in the quest gets you a really good follower, but he's not that cool, is he? Right? How many people use that guy? And you're like, maybe I want to get rid of this guy because I'm kind of powerful enough. I want someone who's kind of interesting, right? Maybe I want somebody who's not a loser. All right. And then we have Spellbreaker, another iconic artifact of Elder Scrolls of yore brought forward to the future. And it sort of has a mock-up look of how, not one-to-one, but it takes a lot of inspiration from past incarnations and how Dwemer shields looked in Morrowind specifically, right? I think it's meant to be sort of a play on that. Spellbreaker. Let me load it up here just to double check exactly what it does. It's the one that gives you the ward effect, right? Yeah. And this is tied to... Whose quest? God, this is tied to Periite? Oh, how odd. Yeah, it's got ward deflection 50. I think Spellbreaker is a fake out. I think Spellbreaker wants you to think it's cool, but in truth, it stinks. Look, people tried to tell me, I remember this. It stayed with me in the Skyrim playthrough we did years ago now. I remember people hyping up Spellbreaker, and I was like, yeah, it is cool. I remember using it. But on high difficulty, it sucks. The catch of it is that when the ward effect breaks, your character gets staggered for like 1 to 2 seconds, right? You can do nothing. It's so much better to just eat the damage, I think, than even bother with the ward effect. I think it's a red herring. It's like you're taking a poison pill dressed up as like a delicious dinner. You know, this is not some amazing feast or treat at all. It actually sucks. The drawback of it, of getting stun locked like that, it sucks so much. As cool as it looks and as much of a throwback it is to past games and whatnot, don't trust it. Don't trust it. The quest itself, this is with all the people with the green goo and like up there by that tree out in the western end of Skyrim land. It's all right. It's all right. You know, it's okay. I like do I like the quest, or do I like the idea behind Periite? You know, being like a plague freak. I think I like the idea behind Periite. I think, unfortunately, it's a C ranker, right? It's maybe it shines more on lower difficulty, but in my experience, when I played, but like I said, when we did the playthrough, it was unusable. It was literally unusable, because anytime I would bring it up to use it, and God forbid you use it against an enemy that's like using a channeled spell, right? They're just like doing a stream of fire on you, and then you're just nonstop stuck in the like animation. Dude, it sucked. It was no good. It was bad. And it caused an issue with the shield charge, right? Because if you're shield charging, it's up. And if a wizard just so happens to be in the fray and they hit you with that, and they break the ward effect, then you lose your shield charge, which is way better, right? The shield charge effect, if you're really into using shields, it's just so much better. Yeah, Spellbreaker is a poison pill. It's a secret, fucked up thing. It does look really cool, though. It does look cool. All right, the Rueful Axe, the other one for Clavicus Vile, the other option. We talked about this earlier when we were talking about the mask. This is what you give. You kill the dog. You kill Barbas. Poor Barbas. Let's see. What exactly does it do? I don't remember precisely. Let me double check here. The Rueful Axe does 20 points of stamina damage. And that's it? I mean, that's not terrible, but like absorbing stamina would be so much better. Because then at least he would be able to chain nonstop power attacks. Damaging stamina is kind of butt ass, right? Does it do anything particularly cool? Whereas all other battle axes have a speed of 7, the Rueful Axe's speed is 5, making it even slower than Warhammer's. As a result, it is the slowest melee weapon in the game. It just sucks ass. It's terrible. It might be, yeah, it's dog shit. There's no redeeming quality of it. I mean, I guess it looks cool. Well, does it? It looks okay. It looks okay. I mean, I think, you know, there's a lot cooler artifact grade axes in the game. Here's looking at you, Wuthrod, with your racist elf depiction upon you. Yeah, Rueful Axe. It's gotta be there with the Mask Clavicus Vile. Maybe even D rank. You know, do I want the mask higher? I think I do. I think I literally do. Because at least with the mask, if you really want to power game it and you're like doing a big sale in town, especially early on, you could pop it on and then wear your normal armor or whatever when you go out and leave. Whereas this, there's no use case. It's so shit. It belongs in a museum. That's it. You just keep it up, hang it up somewhere. All right. Well, speaking of two-handed melee weapons, we have Volendrung, which I actually conversely remember being pretty good as far as two-handers go. Unfortunately, the quest, this is the Malakath one, which is pretty mediocre, right? The Malakath quest, it sucks, right? The Malakath quest is so uncompelling. Like, what separates the Malakath quest from going out and just having a regular side quest to get you initiated into an orc stronghold, right? There's no like unique enemy. The mystery is so simple and to the point with regards to, was it the chieftain of that place who got like straight up killed? Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, the quest for Malakath especially for how cool Malakath could potentially be. I want Malakath to be so much more. Malakath deserves the world. Right? The quest, it sucks. It just sucks a butt. However, the weapon looks really cool. I love an oversized hammer in a fantasy setting. I love huge hammers. I think they're fun and cool and stupid. I love them. Just as well, let me look at the actual... Oh, shoot. We were just talking about Absorb Stam. Volendrung delivers. Volendrung actually does deliver. Wow. And it does have a bit of a higher speed for a two-hander. Yeah, thus giving it abnormally high DPS. However, there are two base weapons that outdo it, the Dragonbone Battle Axe and the Dragonbone Warhammer. Yeah, unfortunately, those both look like shit, you know what I'm saying? Dragonbone weapons? Psh, no thanks. Not when Volendrung is here, baby. I'll lose that DPS in exchange for a little bit of Absorb Stam. Though there is something to be said for it being a bit of an accessible, like, early game pick for a two-handed specialized character. I think the weapon itself is pretty good. I think the weapon itself is pretty good. It's unfortunate that everything else is so either bad or whatever. Does the bad balance out the good of the weapon, though? Or does it meaningfully make it low? Like, are we looking at a B rank or a C rank? Because that's what's here. That's what I'm torn between for Volendrung. Weapon so good, quest so bad. Ooh, I'm going with B. I'm going with B rank because of my own natural proclivity toward ludicrously oversized hammers and mauls and stuff. I like it. Right? I can't, bless up to the OG two-handed hammer of RuneScape, the Granite Maul or whatever it was called. Man, people, when that thing came out back in the day, shit, people were losing their minds. Everybody wanted one. All right. It was like, shoot, who even needs a dragon weapon when I got this now? The Maul? Shh. All right. Finally, we arrive at the Wabbajack. Speaking of quests earlier that reference and pay homage to Oblivion, the Wabbajack was another one of them. Also digging into some greater Elder Scrolls lore in Solitude, right? Finally giving some history to Solitude, a town rich in history, wild that they made it contained there within the Sheogorath quest and not much elsewhere. But delving into Pelagius the Mad, very cool. You read about this dude in past books, in past games. And then you finally get to meet him in some form or function, and you get to meet this video has been rife with spoilers. You get to meet the hero of Kavach. Right? In a sense. Or not, do you get to meet the hero of Kavach? It's a real Ship of Theseus situation, right? Very memorable stuff. And the effect of the Wabbajack is super fantastic. It's very fun to transform dudes at random. And the random aspect of it makes it fun, keeps you on your toes. Like, oh, am I going to get something easier? Or am I going to get like a Dremora or whatever that I'm going to have to fight? You know, something along those lines. It's very enjoyable. It's fun. It's chaotic. The quest is pretty dang all right. It's a fun one. And it's very cool the way in which you get that quest, right? Inside of the Blue Palace, the kind of like shittier area where it's like all decrepit. If you didn't know it was there, it kind of takes you by surprise. Not in the same way as the Mesa Molag Bal. But yeah, the Wabbajack. It's a fun weapon and it is functional. It is functional. I think it's an S rank. I don't think it's I think it's an S rank. If Azura Star and Mace of Molag Bal have like 5-star banger aspects to them where like, yeah, everybody could benefit from Azura Star or the Black Star, or Mace of Molag Bal, everybody remembers the quest where you go inside that house in Markarth, right? Everybody remembers that. Wabbajack kind of strikes a balance between both of those. Pretty cool, memorable quest, right? Dope quest. Not mind-blowing, right? But everybody remembers it. It's dope. It's cool. It's fun. The effect of it, it's dope, it's cool, it's fun. You know, maybe it's not cool enough to where you're like, oh, I'm going to take it out with me around when I'm adventuring. Or if you're anything like me, it's the kind of item that you will perhaps have in your inventory forever and be like, one day I might need it, right? One day I'm not putting it on display in my stupid house in Whiterun. No, that's in my inventory. I just have 10 or whatever less inventory encumbrance allotted to me, or however much it weighs. I don't even know how much it weighs. Let me do a quick check here, just for fun. Tell me, UESP. 10. Nailed it. But yeah, it's a solid one. It's fun. And you know what? This concludes our ranking. Check it out. Another ranking under our belt. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that works pretty well. Right? I think the biggest shocker is putting the Ogma Infinium all the way at the bottom. I didn't expect to do that, but man, it's so bad. It's so uncool, right? For as cool as Irma Mora is, the Ogma Infinium, as it appears in Skyrim, is so not cool, right? Give me something unique, right? I can get 5 skill levels by playing the damn game. Give me something new, right? Give me something different. At least other things that are kind of shit are trying, you know? Or in the case of the Rueful Axe, it's maybe meant to be shitty, right? Given that's the one you get for killing Barbas, you monster. Yeah, that's where I land on it. That ought to do it for this week's IRL. Another silly, fun ranking video. As per usual, I don't know. I enjoy it. It's so much fun doing these, right? I can't lie. It's stupid, but sometimes it's fun to have a little junk food. It's fun to have a little treat, as we've talked about before in the past. All right. That ought to do it for now. Until next time, please take care of each other.